they're saying, in light of this court ruling, we don't want to pay our taxes either. I mean, why should we pay our taxes if the Indian retailers aren't going to pay theirs? And what do you think about that?
Well, I think they're absolutely right. You've got over 20,000 retailers in this state that are in an unfair competitive disadvantage, and I don't think that's right either. Why does one party, regardless of what their gender or background is, have the ability not to pay taxes in this country, and everyone else has to be held accountable? If you have any restaurant or any retail outlet lives in this state that doesn't collect sales taxes and remit it to state government, they go to jail and they serve time. And that's why I'm saying that that's why these retailers are so upset. They're being held to two different standards, and they're at a competitive disadvantage. And it's not just on cigarettes, it's on gasoline and what other products the Native Americans are selling off their reservation land. And that's where I come back to the federal government. They've created this problem by not bringing an end to this problem through a solution-based resolution by the Bureau of Indian Affairs with the administration. And it's not just the Obama administration. It should have been done with the Bush administration and the Clinton administration before that. People are just really, their lives are at stake here, and there's a lot. This is a serious emotional issue on both sides, and I understand the Native Americans and they're believing about their sovereign nations. I don't dispute the sovereignty, but now we have to see how we live and work together, and so that American citizens aren't treated on an unequal basis while we're trying to make up for 200 years of bad decisions, quite frankly, by prior governments, both at the state and the federal level.
So to the end regarding the money, I mean, there's a $200 million hole in the budget if this tax issue can't be resolved. Now, the legislature is probably going to be coming back after the primary. I'm wondering if you actually know whether that's going to be happening. You hear the governor saying he wants to call people back to act on the property tax cap, which I know is something that you and your conference support. Do you have any news for us regarding the return of the legislature to Albany?
Nothing firm, but it's my understanding, at least I've been told, that we have to take action through the legislature to deal with the federal assistance that we're getting for schools, that we have to have enabling legislation and distribute the funds. And my feeling all along is if we're going to do that, why are we not going to have an up and down vote in the Assembly on the property tax cap, a state spending cap, the SUNY empowerment plan, you name it. I think we should be back there to deal with these issues. And as I've said all along, the problem with Albany is we're not getting yes or no votes or up and down votes in the state legislature to see where the legislature stands on many of these issues. And quite frankly, that's what people are looking for, change here. And Governor Patterson rightfully is calling for these yes or no votes. But now it's up to the Assembly leadership, Democrat leadership, and the Senate Democrat leadership, because they're in the majorities, to get us all back there, and let's get these votes taken. And also, quite frankly, we've got, I still believe, bigger problems on the revenue side besides the cigarette tax revenue. I don't believe that this budget's in balance, and I think after the elections there's going to be this great big November surprise, oops, we have another deficit again, and these sort of issues are being swept aside because it's a political season.
Well, there might actually very well be a September surprise for your party. Who are you putting your money on right now, Lazio or Palladino?
I feel strongly both ways. I'm not,
that is a very politic answer, leader. I'm sorry.
Actually, to be honest with you, Liz, in our conference, we've got members that support both candidates. I like both guys, and I think it's up to the voters really to decide who their standard bearer is going to be in the fall elections. And I think it's really quite, at this point, too close to call. But, you know, we'll find out hopefully on the evening of September 14th.
Well, there are people who say that Carl Palladino is too controversial, that he won't be able to run against Andrew Cuomo because he has too much baggage, that even though he has the money, the personal money, that he actually is not a good candidate. What is your thoughts on that? I mean, what about, do you think he could actually take it to Andrew Cuomo or not?
Well, I think when you're what we need to focus is on the issues, and I think what we need is plain spoken language on the campaign trail. And I think Carl Palladino does that in his own way. And sure, some of his statements are controversial, but what Carl will say is that, well, I'm not trying to be a politician and be politically correct, But I think he's also saying that, you know, you've got to, shall we say, speak a little bit more distinctly and accurately when you're trying to convey how you truly feel about a situation. It's like everything else. You're never going to agree 100% with any candidate on what they're going to say. And I think really, who's going to shake up Albany more? You know, the question I've always said about Attorney General Cuomo is, how is he going to get Speaker Silver to deal with a property tax cap, with a constitutional convention, with a state spending cap, when Speaker Silver and the Assembly Democrats can just say, no, we're not going to take up a bill for a yes or no vote. And all of the candidates, Carl Palladino, Rick Lazio, and Andrew Cuomo, that's the question I'd ask all three of them. How are you going to get the Assembly Democrats and Speaker Silver to take up and down votes on issues that matter to New Yorkers? Because that's what New Yorkers are upset about, is we can't get votes on a property tax cap or a state spending cap or nonpartisan legislative redistricting. And whoever our next governor is going to be has got to be willing to take on the entrenched power of the majorities to actually get something done in Albany. And that's why I think all three of them should be, that's the issue that they should be speaking to right now.
Okay, well, to that end, Shelley Silver has a veto-proof majority right now. You've got to take out about, let's give it about 10 seats to make it a pretty good margin. Do you think you can do it?
Well, do I think I can do it? Absolutely. Is it going to be challenging? And it's not a slam dunk, absolutely, because quite frankly, when we're trying to fund campaigns throughout the state, people are saying, well, you know, we got to get that state Senate back and have a balance of power in the legislature, and we got congressional seats and we got the gubernatorial seats. But I got to tell you right now is that we need more balance of power in the state assembly, because every vote that we add as an assembly Republican that takes office who is willing to cast a vote for independence